Hey everybody, it's Cinnamon Queen, your art Sherpa, and today I'm going to be showing you how to paint a very loose expressive floral, this time in front of a window. It's using very similar colors that we used the last time. If you don't know what those are, you can check the description below. You just open it up and all the colors are going to be there, but the best place to actually find them, I think, is on our website on TheArtSherpa.com. On the mic is my husband, John, today.
Hey guys.
He's going to track me with cameras so we know what is going on and what I'm doing so you can see every step of the process. So check that description or go by the website. I'm kind of ready to just jump on in today, John. Are you ready to jump in?
Totally ready to jump
All
in.
right, so let's do the 1, 2, 3 turn around. 1,
Okay.
2, 3, go. You're getting good. I'm like not able to throw you off as much anymore.
I'm stuff.
You know, I gotta get tricky. Maybe I gotta twirl the other way or something to throw them off. So over here, we're gonna kind of look at the materials. We're gonna go over it. I have alizarin crimson, dioxazine purple, phthalo green, phthalo blue, titanium white, Prussian blue, cad yellow, cad red, and in the description, and there's a whole big special extra bit on the website. Just in case you're not familiar with these terms or concept, there's an extra video that's in there to help you understand what it is. But this is what's called fluid paint. It makes splattering easier. And this is a wonderful professional brand of paint with a high pigment load, but you can use craft paint too. Craft paint is also a self-leveling paint and is good for splattering. So it's not like you got to go out and drop like a ton of money to do it. And on that, just use any red you have. For the splatter, just any red or orange you have will work for this painting. Now I have a 9x12 kind of artist board here. This is treated, ready to paint on. It's all ready to go. And of course, as per the usual, we put some wishes and intentions to go out into the universe. My first main wish and intention right now is just for everyone in my home, everyone in my country, and actually everyone in the world. This is a good wish for everybody in the world. I wish that you have food on your table and that you're not worried about that and that you're able to keep a roof over your head easily, and that whatever else is going on in the world, that we're able to be safe in our homes. So I guess I wish that for the whole world, because why wouldn't you? I'm also doing a wish for Deb and Lisa. They're both facing different elements that they're going through with cancer. Deb's got family members that's going through it. Lisa is like waiting on tests. It's just a really challenging time. And so I wish them strength. I wish you great healers. And I wish to see a cure for this illness in my lifetime. As you know, if you've watched any of our St. Jude broadcasts, I'm not a fan of cancer. Not a fan at all. Linda is just asking for cyber hugs. So if you see Linda out in the universe, give her a cyber hug. And Rika is looking for a job. We're looking for a dream job for Rika. And Rebecca is wishing for strength because she's going through a loss at home. So those are our wishes. Ready to put those out there. I have a number 26 Bright. This is just a nice big brush with a synthetic filament. It's going to let me paint the whole canvas. And we're going to do a really interesting thing. We're going to create a ground or a solid field of color for which we're going to build the painting on. So I'm going to come here, I'm going to dip my brush in water. I'm going to load up both sides of the brush with the alizarin. That's the darker red. And you'll notice that I flip the brush. That's going to get a lot of paint in the belly of the brush and help me get further in the painting. One of the things that can happen for you guys is that you go to paint and you don't have enough paint or water, and it feels like you're working 6, 7 times as hard to cover the canvas as I am. So I like to mention those things that might make it easier as we cover this canvas with this exciting red. Isn't it an exciting red? Of everything you had going on this week, I think it's the most exciting red. Woo! You're red. It's not really, but we're gonna go with it. But it's a color that I personally love. I always keep it in my paint box. I can't imagine not having alizarin in my paint box. And now that it's super not poisonous in the modern versions of it, used to be kind of a dangerous pigment. Not anymore in any way, and certainly not in acrylic paint. It's really kind of fun to have that back.
While you're filling that in, Lucky Clover had a question.
Hi, Lucky Clover. Are you a Lucky Clover? I think you are.
What's the difference between a golden open paint and why is it different from their other paint they have?
Dry slower. It has a product in it called a retarder, and this slows down the drying time of the polymer. allowing you a longer blendability and less drag.
Huh.
Yeah.
So one might say that's uh, something that more like what oils act like.
It's closer to oils, and if you're coming from the thinking of oils, like if you're coming from that world, I think it's a really good bridge product because it doesn't ask you to get so many new and different skills right off the bat. It's also a really good product just to have in your paint box. One really fun tip is if you do the titanium white and the golden open, it can help you slow down the drying time of your paint, but it mixes with regular acrylic, so it kind of half times it. It's a really cool thing that you can do. I'm gonna sip
Interesting.
my coffee. How are you guys doing? You got your libations
I
for this Friday?
Mine is in its self-forming cup.
Um, Never had anyone brag on coffee cups so much.
Well, I mean, if you if you got if you've won the toy, why not play with it?
Get
You
my
know,
own ember, and then we're gonna see.
you should get an ember. It's a
John
really good
John is
mug.
like a smack talker. So
It's a
like but he smacks talk over stuff that you wouldn't smack talk over, like I have the better coffee cup. That's what he's gonna smack talk
oh
over.
no, you gave me the better copy cup.
I know I did. I know I did, and I knew
I
it
mean,
was gonna come with smack talk.
like
But you always think that you know what you're getting into, and then you get into it, and then you're like, oh, I forgot what this was like. I'm drawing my painting right now.
yeah,
But
and
I'm doing this so I can take
you're doing it
questions
without
and talk
heat.
to you guys.
You're doing it without heat, which is something that your mug also doesn't have.
That's right. My mug is an artisanal, old world, old style mug. It's not smart, and it's not going to rise up and kill me later.
You could say it's a medieval mug.
Huzzah! I has coffee. So the reason we're drying the background is that we want this really nice and dry and stable so that the layers that we put on top of it stick really well. And also we're going to show little peaks of this color through our very loose painting expression. And it's going to create some really fun color theory effects for us. This is sort of almost a triadic color scheme, which means we have colors on equal distances on the color wheel. If you've never seen a color wheel, it's a really kind of cool thing to look up. I have a lot of videos about color. Color is kind of like the trigonometry of art, but unlike trigonometry, it's actually fun. I'm sorry if math people are now angry. They're like, no, trig is fun. No, you guys have Stockholm Syndrome.
You've been in the math building too long. We've
You
got to
really
set you free.
I'm not saying you don't better your fellow man by like a lot. You really help us, but math. All right, I'm going to dry this with my hairdryer because I need it really, really dry.
Okay.
My fan is not doing it today. It's a little bit humid. Go figure. Every day is different in Texas.
So, as we were saying earlier, yes, don't use your heat because heat is not good on acrylic. It causes color shift and all sorts of other things, especially in your student paints. And your pro paints, not so much a big deal, but it is something you should be aware of. And just use your hair dryer on air mode.
How you doing?
I am giving my general public service announcements. I
Your
have
general
nothing new.
public service announcement.
You know,
I'm trying to
don't
decide
use
how
heat.
big of a brush that I want to do this in. I think I'm going to go with an 8. Just a little bit smaller than a 10, but it's still going to give me nice big strokes. On this type of painting, sometimes it's nice to work with just one brush. It's not a rule. It's not something like that if you don't do it, you fail at it. It's just a nice thing to do, and it'll help you loosen up your strokes. If you get a bigger brush, actually, let me set a good example here. I'll just go with a 10. I'm going to get the bad boy. This is a number 10 bright. This is a Cambridge brush. It's a mix of bristles and filaments. Isn't that exciting? Yes, actually it is. I really like these brushes. I'm super thrilled when I found these. But it's a number 10 bristles, hog bristles, tough hogs, and synthetic filaments. So that's what that is. In a bright. Number 10. In a bright. I'm going to dip this brush in water and make sure I get the excess water out. I'm going to get some of my Diox purple and a little of my alizarin crimson, and I'm going to work them together, and I'm going to start kind of sketching out some of the elements that are on my canvas. Now, of course, on the website, we have a traceable, and it's in this particular project pages page with the other videos and everything, but I think this is one that you could probably do if you've not ever tried sketching it out. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to come across the bottom. This is about 3 fingers up, and I'm going to make just a happy little line, just a Straight little line across. That's my wall. That's all that is. It's my wall. And you can get back from your brush and you can be real loose and real chill about it. I got my wall here. And the next thing I got to have is a window. The great thing about my window is very loose. So I'm going to just bring my brush down on the flat. See how I'm bringing it on the wide? I'm going to go like this. Start putting in my window. Just loose. This isn't the final visage of the window. This is just me laying in the construct of my window. Notice how relaxed I am about this line. This line isn't a precision taped off, ready to go on a car show car kind of line. Those guys have the best hand skills. This is just this loose vertical line. The thing you want about this line is that it's straight up and down, right? That's low pressure, straight up and down. This is your goal right now. You're like, all I got to do right now is paint a purple line straight up and down. And I think you got that. I'm going to take a little more of my purple and my alizarin crimson, and I'm going to mix them together. And I'm going to make a crossbar. I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to just find a place. And now I'm going to make a horizontal line. Just making a horizontal line that I can see, so I know where the heck this even went. All right? This is pretty fun stuff. Well, it's fun for me. Now I'm going to take a little bit of my blue. I might even grab some of my purple here just to darken it. And I'm going to come down here and I'm going to make a little smile. See that little smile? That's pretty chill, pretty mellow. And then I'm going to come up with a vertical line. Oh, we're back to those vertical lines. Crazy, wild kids that we are. We're such rebels. Just painting it. And I could get further back on my brush because I'm trying to be loose. I don't want my pots too high. And I'm going to loosely, right now, kind of put this in. Just loosely. This is just a chill, relaxed, not too serious element of what I'm working on here. So you can see on your pot, it's about the curve here and the curve here being similar, right? They should be parallel to each other. And then your nice little pot lines here helps that they're vertical. Pretty low pressure for what you've got to have going on. Now, it's a very interesting thing because in this window, we're actually not going to really structurally paint this out. We're going to leave a lot of this loose and impressionistic. And what you mean when you say that in art, if you're very new to painting, is that you're just getting a sense of it, like a quick glance, quick overview. It's like a fast note. You're not trying to record every detail. You're trying to record the feelings of the details. This means for you, the painter, that there's a lot less pressure on you to be all specific and particular, and you can kind of like relax and sort of just enjoy the structure of the object. How's everybody doing, John?
Really good.
I'm going to get a little bit of my
Really
alizarin and my purple together, and I'm going to talk some like you do, of my plants and things. I've got a I'm going to just go ahead and I know I've got some lines here that I've got to think about. I'm going to have different little flowers up here that are happening. And I'm using the purple to sort of basis this out because I know that I'll be coming back with my color. See, I'm making almost a fan to talk about the structure. And I'm using the little purple to say, oh, it's flowers here and there, because you're not trying to be super specific. There we go. So we have kind of this loose idea of what I've got going on in my painting. The alizarin crimson showing quite vibrantly around everything. The next fun thing that I get to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to mix my phthalo green and my phthalo blue together. And this time, instead of just making a 1-to-1 mixture, which is 1 part phthalo blue, 1 part phthalo green, I'm going to do 2 parts phthalo green to 1 part blue. And that's going to make a greener color. I might even grab a little of my yellow. Did you see me just mix that in there? And get some of your white. And I'm going to come down this window on the edge of my brush. Down there on the edge of the brush. I'm going to come across and I'm going to just stroke this across here. This is my window. You're like, well, that's easy, glass. Just coming across. Just be chill. So you'll notice that these strokes are again horizontal. All I've got going on. Little bits of the red are gonna come through, and I want that. That is a thing that you want. That is, you know how sometimes when you get software and it's like working as intended, you're working as intended.
I
You
keep
keep
thinking
thinking,
you're going for more paint, but you keep just using the paint that's on that brush.
I am, aren't I?
You pull your hand away like you're gonna go get paint, but then you're like, no, I'm just gonna.
I know. I gotta get even with you for the coffee cup.
Okay, I don't. I mean,
No, I'm
hey,
not
this is
really.
your show.
I'm not. I'm not. It's our show. It's my show. It's our show.
Well, it's not like it's not called Stunt Hands follows his wife with
Well, I
cameras.
mean, if you want to retitle, I don't mind.
I don't think that would be as appealing.
Could be. Could be really good. Stunt hands follows
Husband's
wife with cameras.
husband obsessively stalks his artistic wife with cameras.com.
.com. I like the .com part. That's the part that really makes it real for me.
It's very 90s. I was pre bubble pop in my, branding.
Were you?
You know,
Oh, I love you.
but you're just brushing it on there though.
I'm just brushing it on. Now, I'm going to just wipe off my brush, but I'm not even really going to rinse any pigment off. And I'm going to get some of my green and some of my yellow, and I'm going to come on this side, and I'm going to just brush down. I am not going to take out all of the yellow, the red peeking through. I want little bits of red peeking through. I do. I want a little bit of red peeking through. I'm going to come down here and add a sort of darker value. Again, a little green, a little yellow. And if you need to grab some more pure green, you can just go right there and see how loose we are. We're very loose. This isn't like really specific. And you might even grab just some white onto there in a couple places. I would suggest. See how I'm barely touching the canvas. It can really help that feel like glass. Look at that. Glass. That's all we need to say. Things are reflective. I'm going to rinse out. Now on this side, I'm actually going to take my green, but I'm going to mix it with my Prussian. This is my darker blue. If you don't have the Prussian, I would mix the green with the Diox purple to darken it. But if you can get your Prussian green in, I highly recommend it. It's a wonderful, wonderful color. Notice that I'm kind of working this in around my floral very loosely. And a lot of the red is retained throughout that. So I'm filling in maybe where there's some stems. And I'm painting down here. Sometimes you can get just more blue. You just go in there. Fun stuff. I'm going to bring this back because this goes a little bit behind our floral. So now this side of the window is significantly darker. It's still clearly a window. And you can get a little bit of white into this to sort of show that. See how we're doing? Leaving a lot of that background to just be loosely and openly expressed there. I'm going to come up here. So I've got just a little bit of white into it to help it stand out, right? A little bit of white. Just a little bit. But not much, because it's much darker on this side of the window. Maybe there's a bush outside. Could be a beautiful bush. Could be a flowering bush. But there's a bush outside casting a shadow on our window. Now I'm going to take my Prussian blue, just straight up, and I'm going to go ahead now and a little more considered, I'm going to define in the crossbars of this window. Just a little bit. And I'm even going to come underneath here a little bit thicker. See how I'm doing? And defining that. But notice that there's little areas here, and I'll see if John can get into this. There's these little pops of red that are going to show through. See that little bit of red? That's what you want. That's desirable in this style of painting. So the wonderful thing about art is there's a lot of ways of doing it. One isn't necessarily better or more correct than another, and your whole privilege as a beginning artist is that you get to go out and discover all the fun ways there are to paint and then find the one that fits you perfectly.
Now, they were asking here if you don't have the brush that you have, what do you suggest?
Any bright, any strong brush that you like painting with, that you feel confident with. This isn't, sometimes there's certain types of painting, like one stroke painting, that's very brush specific. You have to have the tool to get the effect. In this style, that's not true. I could have a big giant round, I would still get this effect. I could have any bright that I wanted, I would still get this effect. With heavy body paint, I wouldn't do too soft of a brush. That probably wouldn't be particularly helpful, but other than that, you're pretty good. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to get a little bit of my yellow, and it's going to pick up some of the green, and I'm going to get some white. See that right there? It's quite bright. This is almost like a lime. You ready? We're going to put some lime into our window. I'm going to just come right here, and I'm going to make a little mark. A little bit here. Notice these are just loose little marks, right? Oh, I like that. That's a wonderful passage. When we say passage in art, we mean just a cool little bit. It's just a fancy way for us to say, cool little bit I like right there. Maybe this whole painting, not such a fan of, but I'm super fond of that little bit right there. Oftentimes you'll hear artists talk about that, and that's what they're talking about. That cool little bit right there. I add a little more white, and I'm trying to make this very random and loose. It's one of my favorite colors that's in this painting. I'm going to rinse this out a bit. Now, in the front, we've got a lot of fun stuff we can do. I'm going to take a little bit of my purple and maybe my blue. See how these sort of go together? And I'm going to come under here. This is pretty dark on this side. I'm going to brush this forward. There's a lot that's still showing. And you can see it really shows through. I'm not trying to take it all away. I don't want all the red to go away. I just want to show this area of shadow. All I'm doing is just showing this area of shadow. And up the far side, I'm going to grab some of my Prussian that you just saw me load. And I'm going to make this quite dark right here. I want this side to be very dark because this would be more in shadow. But notice, still painting it quite loose. Even if I bring it underneath and pull that out, still quite loose. So I've got a shadow happening under here. Right? I've got everything loosely put in there. If you find that you're getting a lot of anxiety when you're doing this technique, I want you to know that's really normal. And sometimes it's harder to paint loose than it is to paint realistic because you have to believe in yourself. And when you're new to painting, it's really hard to believe in yourself. Now I'm going to take my blue here, and I'm going to get a little bit of green into it, but mostly blue this time. And I'm going to come across and I'm going to paint my vase with this blue. Isn't this a great blue? So I'll go right over what I already have. And you can see that it's just popping in the canvas, isn't it? There we go. Having some fun putting this in. Loosely sketching. Because you're not trying to, again, do all of the things. You're just trying to get the overview. I'm going to get back into my turquoise here. Get a little white in there to reveal it. So we're going to come right here. We're brushing down in the middle of the pot. Right here, still brushing down in the middle of the pot. I'll come across. And everything's going to be about each line. See, I'm going short line, longer line, longer line. Is about finding those spots. I might get some more of the white on there. And just while I'm right here, just loosely. We'll come back and visit this again in a second, but we're just giving ourselves some structure. Now, my favorite part of what's coming up, favorite part, and you're going to hear me vigorously washing out my brush because I really don't necessarily want all my pigments to mishmash. I'm going to come and put some blooms up top. So I'm going to get some of my blue, and it has just a titch of white into it, but not a lot, like not perfectly, and I'm going to make a little bloom up here. And I'm going to make this crazy little shape. Not a crazy little shape, And I'm going to come here and make sort of a strong stroke up. These are these weird little blue flowers. There's another little blue one. Some more white into it. Put one right here. This one's got a little more white. I think we could use some of these little pops of it right here. And you'll notice I'll go get paint a lot, don't I, right now? Are you going and getting paint a lot? I'm going to go get paint a lot. You should go get paint a lot too, because you want these loosely mixed. If you look on my brush, this is loosely mixed. This is very relaxed and chill. So you want to make sure that you've got some of that going on your brush. Doesn't have to be the most perfect brush stroke ever. You want to get comfortable making like a harmony of brush strokes. But you know, still you might have a passage. I'm going to make a little blue right there. That's a fun little mark. I literally do try to think about fun little marks that I could have that I enjoy, that give me pleasure in the painting. So when I have those blues in, I'll go ahead and rinse out. And I'm going to dry the canvas right now. And I'm going to do that because I want the next layers to not mix in or move the layers underneath. I'm really happy with these and I kind of want them to stay there and I don't want to lift them up. It's really humid in my studio. So it's not doing a good job of tacky drying today. Acrylic paint gets kind of a surface on it that you can paint wet over wet into and it'll really stick. But sometimes if it's real humid, it won't, which it's doing right now. So I'm going to dry it. Say hi to you guys.
Will do. Hi, you guys. How you doing? It's good to see you. Really. No, I mean, like, and wow, there's a lot of you guys out here on a Friday afternoon, so it's very nice to see you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for you guys coming and hanging out with us. You know, it's my thing to just love doing this with you guys. I mean, really, I have the best job in the world that we get to produce art videos for you guys, for the world, for free. And that's like, I can't believe that's what I get to do every day. So thank you for coming and making that possible and celebrating art in this sort of special way that we get to do with each other. So thank you.
How's
and we're
everybody
back
doing?
to the normalness of this show.
We are something. I'm going to take my green and my blue and I'm going to mix them together and I'm going to get this very nice kind of teal. And I'll come here and I'm going to add it to this side of the pot. Maybe come across. All right. I'm going to just get a little more of a little Prussian. I'm working this in here. I'm just defining the pot a bit. Just a little more considered. And I'm going to get a lot of white on here, making this bright, bright color. Let's come on this outer edge and put this here. So what I'm doing when I'm putting this lighter color here is I'm implying that there's light coming in from the window here that's lighting our pot. And so I'm just trying to show just a little bit of that light. And I'm going to come and get a bunch of white on my brush. I'm going to come under the window. And I'm going to inform the shadow that's here by bringing that light color back. Just brushing it very loosely over. And a couple places around, but I don't want to cover everything. And I certainly don't want to take out the shadow that I worked pretty hard to put in. I worked fairly hard for that shadow. I can come back with a little bit of this blue and white under here. And this is going to help make the shadow that's under the pot really pop. Because it's just a couple shades of color lighter than that shadow. And you want that shadow to really show. But I do want that part of the pot to feel like it's also in shadow. So you see I've got a light area here that's loosely painted and a darker area here that's loosely painted.
Oh, I was looking at the wrong place. You were saying you've got a loosely painted over here and a loosely painted over here, and I was like looking over at the wrong thing. I was looking at the palette, and so you were pointing at something, so I didn't see it at all.
Oh no. Okay. So what I'm saying is, and this is something to notice if you do these again, if you look in the art card, there's several other projects that are just like this one if you're having fun and you want to do more. But what you're saying is, I have a window here and the light's coming in. So you'd want to show that there's some light on the counter surface, and you'd want to show a little bit of light on this side of your pot and on this side of your floral arrangement. So I'm going to come here with a little bit of white and blue, and I'm going to lighten up some of these flowers on this side towards the window. See how we're doing?
I do. I have zoom cameras.
Just a couple little light spots towards that side of the window. So we're lightening that up. It's always fun to talk about those things. Oops, dripped on my canvas. I'm going to come back here and I'm going to darken this side even more. Coming with my purple, just darkening it in even more. Really trying to show the depth of that shadow. So this should feel really deep and dark. You hear me vigorously rinsing out my brush, which is always, always fun. Next stage, green and a little bit of yellow. Notice I'm loosely mixing them on the brush. Green and a little bit of yellow. And I'm going to come here and I'm going to get just a little more green. And I'm making these little marks. These are like little nice, tidy little leaves, you know, like you get, but they're a little bit smaller or not as deep. I'm just putting a few of those here and there around the arrangement. And if you think about a floral arrangement and the way that they're constructed, you know, you can imagine, where would the florist put green? Right? Where would they deem that a little bit of green is necessary? All right, that's looking pretty good. The next leaf that I did, I really loved the first time I did it. I'm kind of excited to show it to you because it's a really fun one to do. I'm going to take a little of my green over to a lot of my yellow. So it's quite bright. And let's get a little white into it. And we're going to make some drag down little kind of leaves. These are like, somehow these leaves are hanging down, right? Maybe a little yellow, a little white. Went out being all crazy and cool off of this floral arrangement. Look at that, dragging down these fun dropping leaves. Can you think of the types of plants that hang down like that and how fun they are in flower arrangements? And I might show a little bit of deep green here. See, I'm grabbing just a little bit. Back into the yellow, lots of white. And what's fun is that kind of starts to help define this side of the floral. All right, so I've got that wonderful little group of drippy down, very vibrant lime yellow areas. Rinsing 1 cup. I'm rinsing out real well, guys. Real well. Now, I can, while I'm here, get a little bit of the white and the yellow. And I'm going to go here over the top of this blue and create a spot. Can you see it? This is talking about, like, maybe there's a bright light. Maybe there's a light that's really focused right there, a hotter spot on the table. Think about where your cat would want to lay down. Now, I'm going to get my white, and I'm going to take a little of my Prussian, just a small amount, and notice that I've cooled that up. Can you see that that's slightly blue? I'm going to come here. I'm going to make a dot. Making little dots. A little bit of Prussian into it. And put some, let's fill in some space here. So just like a florist, you're going to look for places that you would fill in on your floral arrangement, Right? Maybe there's a big, beautiful flower that's right there. See how that's kind of like a little round shape? And it's okay that a little green got picked up on that. That's not going to hurt us. So I am going to rinse out like you do. Just get my paint recovered and get really heavy back into my white, again, with the slight brush it. Now right here, I'm going to go ahead and get on the tip of my brush. I'm going to just tap this out on the tip. See that little crazy texture I'm leaving? And then we could have a little bit of this crazy texture up here. There we go. So that's sort of balanced around our floral arrangement. You can take what's left of your blue if you want and put it a couple places to strengthen those. So you don't have to waste it. I think that's nice. And the next fun part, I need to make a warm white. So I'm going to dry this real quick so it doesn't do this beautiful thing that you saw right there where it lifted up, because I need to make sure that it's warm, which means I'm going to add some yellow to it. So hold on a second. I'm going to get this dry enough to stick paint to.
So there you go. She's just going to dry that off a little bit. And you already know what to do there. And I don't know. It's a lovely Friday afternoon. I don't know what else to say. It's good to be hanging out with you guys. You know, being completely flat-footed and unprepared, as I normally am for these breaks. You know, I probably should be telling you, oh, I can tell you something like you can check in the description down below for all sorts of good links, like our website, the traceable, how to find a calendar, like where upcoming videos are. You know, and our website actually has got a lot of pretty cool stuff on it. Just
Okay.
as it is.
As it is. I'm going to take some of my white and add some yellow to it. Just a little yellow. And I'm going to add that to the front of some of those flowers that are facing the sun. See how we're doing that? Implying that they're facing that sun, that sunlight. Take some of that yellow right there. Just towards the side, towards the window side.
So, 78 Genie had a question here.
I have an answer.
What's the difference between phthalo green and hooker green? She uses hooker green and really likes it, but's never used phthalo green and doesn't know if it's
it just makes me want to go hooker, please. That said, it's much more of a yellow green, and it makes a different range of greens. The phthalo green is actually a blue shade, so that's where we get to the turquoise. It'd be real hard to get hooker green to get to a turquoise. We could. It's just a much warmer green. But if you have hooker's green, hooker, please, you can paint with that. Don't worry about it.
Right.
I've been watching TV. I'm sorry. So I'm going to get, this is a nice time that you can go in and refine some space. So if you have a couple of things, like say I want to take a little bit of my color here and go into my blue and then get a lot of white, using up what we have, right, like you do. I can also come right here and tidy up, if I feel the need, my little sidebars. See how we're doing? You want to strengthen that up. You can always look at your composition and go, does this need an adjustment? Just because you're painting loose doesn't mean you can't make adjustments. Sometimes people feel like if they're painting loose, they can't. You can absolutely do that. Grabbed a lot more white, but I'm not worried about it. I think I'll take that little bit of line there. As long as I'm happy with my window, I can even thin that out a bit. And that's something that you just may want to do. You might be like, all right, well, like, I want certain parts of these cross beams to be a particular way. You can go ahead and make sure that they are. I'm going to get some of my yellow right onto my brush. And I'm going to make sure that some of the front of these leaves that are here towards the window have a highlight. Can you see how I did that? Now, a couple things that we're going to do. We're going to do a couple flowers, and then we're going to do a couple splatters. And I want you to just grab Cad Red right on your brush. And right here, you're going to pop a little bit of Cad Red. See that? These are like little pops of color. Aren't those wonderful? You could use any red you have. You're just trying to make sure that in this contrast of the blue and green, you have this pop of red. I really love it when they do poppies with cornflowers. If you guys have ever seen that, I love that very much. Anywhere you want to put that in balance, you can. And then when you're real happy with that arrangement, you get to do the fun part. Well, it's the fun part to me. It may not be your favorite part, but it's my favorite part.
What's that?
I really enjoy the splattering. So in this case, I'm going to use Naphtha Red Light. You could thin your paint. Now, here's some health information. So real cadmium paint, if it doesn't say hue on it, if it just says cadmium pigment, that's got real cadmium pigment. It is artist cadmium, so it is coated. It is not absorbable by your skin. You shouldn't ingest it. Don't eat your paint. And if you know you don't have any allergies, you can just go ahead and flick that right on there. If you're not sure, you might want to use like any other red, because sometimes you can have allergies to certain pigments in paint. People forget that. Mostly it hits them in the beauty segment. You see that all the time. Somebody bought a palette and they were like, oh, this palette has pigment. And then they're like, I'm allergic. I'm like, yeah, you are. That's true. I'm going to put some of that out there. All right, so that's pretty. It's a real similar color. This Naphtha Red Light, you'll notice, is not dissimilar to the Cad Red. So if ever you're looking for a more economic alternative to your Cad Red, this is a good one. Now, the trick on this splatter is actually to have a wet splatter brush. I've got my special splatter brush that's in my splattering line, my Galaxy set here. I have a video about how to splatter paint. So there's a lot of ways to do it. You can do two brushes whacked together. You can use a fan brush and flick it. There's a lot of ways to do it. Don't feel like limited. But you'll notice that this is pretty wet. And that's going to give me a certain type of splatter. And I'm going to go ahead and get real close and make a little spray there. A little spray there. Maybe there. There we go. And I like to do one right here. Like little bits of it are falling. Does that make sense? I like to be sort of heavy with it. There we go. I think I'm happy with that. Oh yeah, I like that. So that's just a fun thing that you can get going. Where you can put a little bit of extra zhuzh on your painting, a little bit extra fun where you splatter it, you get creative and you have a good time. You can do anything for the splatters from orange to red to whatever you have. And then, of course, the last part of the painting, that is the most important part of the painting, is to sign it. In this one case, I'm going to say go ahead and sign it in red. That's okay.
This really turned out nice.
Just a fun little way to do a loose, expressive, relaxing floral that can let you put down your work week and enjoy your life a little bit while you're having a good time. So one brush, just a little grip of paints. I'm going to turn it around.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Oh, we did pretty good. So every time you do the splatters, those are going to be a little bit different. I think that's what's fun about them. If you're a person that doesn't enjoy them, guess what? You don't have to do them. It's not required for the painting. So remember that you've got to, center yourself in your own comfort first. And to that end, be good to yourself Be good to each other. And I want to see you at the easel really soon. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.